A lot of my stories begin with Florida man but tonight it's Florida woman, Sarah Boone. And if you know her name, it might be because you have heard her connected to a headline suitcase murder. Sarah Boone is alleged to have murdered her boyfriend by zipping him into a suitcase and then taunting him as he slowly suffocated. And if you don't believe me, she videotaped it. I know, I don't get it either, but I want to play it for you because if you believe her battered woman defense, then you'll have to see the video and decide for yourself, like you were on the jury. So sit back, imagine yourself in the jury box, and feast your eyes on this little piece of evidence.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah. I can't breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. I want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you ching on me.
Sarah. I
You.
can't breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the
Sarah.
Shh.
What you were just watching in that suitcase was Jorge Torres slowly dying because he died in the suitcase as she laughed and she taunted him. I want to bring in Mark Nejame. He's a criminal defense attorney, and he's based in Orlando, Florida. Mark, you'd be perfect to comment on this case because when she first came up with a reason for all of this happened, she said they'd been playing hide and seek and that she zipped him in the suitcase. She admitted to it. Now and it was an accident. Now her defense is that it was battered woman syndrome. But I want to just read for you two of the things that the jury's going to have to figure out. Torres says, I can't effing breathe, seriously. And she says, yeah, that's what you do when you choke me. And then later, he says, Sarah, I can't breathe, baby. And she says, that's on you. Oh, that's what I feel like when you cheat on me. You probably should shut the F up. All right, Mark. That's problematic, isn't it? Because now she's bringing up cheating, not choking.
Extremely so. Vengeance and retaliation do not make a battered syndrome case for the defense. And there's a real issue there. The fact of the matter is that she was seemingly being retaliatory, vengeful, but she didn't have this fear that the only way out was to kill him because that's the requirement under battered spouse syndrome.
Yeah, certainly didn't seem like he was an imminent threat. He couldn't get anywhere near her. All he could do was beg for his life. The other issue, Mark, is that they were both arrested for domestic assault. In 2018, she allegedly tried to choke him. In 2019, he was arrested twice in 2 months on charges of battery and dating violence. But when that is presented, if it's presented, and I assume it will be, Does it cancel each other out? Does it matter in this case?
Only if the jury wants to pardon her. The reality of it, once again, is that that does not make a battered spouse syndrome case. You have to have a perpetual, ongoing cycle of violence where you believe that killing the other person is your only way out, and that there's been this cycle of perpetual violence. And if they both have been calling law enforcement on each other in this seemingly dysfunctional relationship, this violent relationship, that doesn't in itself make a battered spouse syndrome. The issue, though, is she may not have any other defense. It seems pretty apparent she doesn't have mental, a Baker Act, or excuse me, she's never been Baker Acted. She doesn't have an insanity defense. Voluntary intoxication is not a defense to any crime in Florida. And it sounded with her slurred words that she was under some sort of substance that caused her to be that way. So she's kind of left with a few things, and it's very possible that the defense is really vying for a manslaughter versus a second-degree murder. Manslaughter, you have involuntary manslaughter and voluntary manslaughter. One would require negligence, and the other, so if there was negligence here, that she put him in there, that she was trying to teach him a lesson, she passed out, they arguably could make an issue that there was negligence there. But the reality of it is the other one would have to be voluntary, that, in the heat of the moment, she acted that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's so much more on this case that I want to talk to you about, so I'm going to have you back because come on. He did get zipped into a suitcase. She did drink what she said was only a bottle of wine with him, but like you, I heard the slurring too. Mark Nejam, thanks so much for tonight. Appreciate it. Dr. Cindy Joseph, thank you so much, and I am so sorry that you and your family are going through this. Do you have any updates tonight? How is your mom?
So my mom is still in the ICU. I don't think there's any plans for them to take her off the ICU. She has a Dob-Hop in place, which helps her eat. She has an endotracheal tube in her throat. She's on the ventilator for now. The other day, they tried to take her off the ventilator. She was okay for a little bit, but then she decompensated and had to be put back on. More recently today, they have her off for a few hours. So far, she seems to be doing okay. So just hoping this time she's able to remain off of it, for some time. She's really scared. She's in a lot of pain. She has all these tubes in her, in her body. She's not sure what's going on. She's very independent. So this is a state that she hates. I know it. But we're trying to take each day as it comes and just dealing with each day, day by day.
I mean, Cindy, thank God she has you for a daughter as a doctor, as a neurologist. But at the same time, are you oscillating between having a medical hat on and then just trying to be a daughter and process everything that's happening?
It's really hard, to be honest. This is the first time I've been home out of the hospital in some days. It's hard because whenever something happens, I think of the worst possible scenario. My mind just goes to that. The first night she was there, she was very unstable. I was so scared. I thought that would be the end of her, So I think with my background, it's really hard because I expect the worst every time something happens. My mind automatically goes to the worst case scenario. At the same time, I'm trying my best to advocate for her, as well as, all healthcare workers. This shouldn't have happened. It was definitely preventable. I'm really disappointed in the hospital system that this happened to her. My mom's been working there for 20 plus years. She's devoted her entire career to this hospital. And the fact that this was able to happen at a healthcare facility, which should have proper security, is beyond me.
Karen, this is probably a good time for you to jump in as an attorney. The reporting that we have is that this patient was a Baker Act patient. There are all sorts of guardrails that are supposed to be in place if he even should have been at this hospital. And not only that, there's an additional layer here that he was allegedly hurling racial epithets, which makes this a hate crime. Weigh in on everything, like every front that we are now facing with regard to what happened to the Dalai Lama.
Sure. I think this case is a clear example of the HCA hospital system putting profits over safety. HCA made a conscious decision to hire untrained, unarmed and an inadequate number of security personnel to handle their entire hospital, Palms West Hospital. And they put them on the first floor only. I believe there was only one security officer for the entire hospital. And Layla and the perpetrator were up on the third floor with no security whatsoever anywhere in sight. And that is just a conscious disregard and reckless indifference to the life, safety, and welfare of the patients as well as the employees. This was not a Baker Act facility. The employees were not trained on how to deal with violent, aggressive perpetrators like this gentleman was. He was exhibiting aggressive behavior from the moment he walked into Palms West Hospital. They had every opportunity to get him out of there to a Baker Act facility that could have handled him properly, and they didn't do so in a timely fashion.
Big warning to you and anybody else who might be in the room. No one knows why they did it. No one knows why they left their severely disabled daughter so unattended for so many years that she literally rotted to death on a living room couch. Lacey Allen Fletcher had been left to survive on that couch for so many years. When the first responders found her body, she was actually fused to the couch. She was neglected and starved, and she was covered in sores. And sores really doesn't describe it. In some parts, Lacey's flesh had decomposed all the way to the bone. She was covered in her own feces everywhere. The coroner found maggots and gnats and cockroaches all over her. And as horrific as that sounds, the coroner wants you to know everything. The DA wants the public to know everything, because much of the decomposition that happened to Lacey happened when she was alive. It did not happen after she died. And it's also why her parents are in orange. They're charged with second-degree murder here. We first brought you this story last night. Lacey was 36 years old and autistic, severely autistic. But she was once known in the neighborhood as a happy kid who attended school and played volleyball. And look at this. That's her up in the top left-hand corner smiling. And there she is in a high school yearbook picture smiling. But something happened along the way, and somewhere around the 9th grade, Lacey seemed to vanish from the public and the community around her. It is believed that her autism worsened and that her mother began to homeschool her. But a decade and a half later, which would take us to January of 2022, Lacey's mother, Sheila Fletcher, called 911, claiming that she and her husband Clay had just been away for the weekend and they just came home to just find Lacey on the couch, not breathing. And I'm about to play the 911 call for you, but I want you to pay close attention to the details, particularly the detail when Lacey's mom is asked how old her daughter is. Again, for the record, Lacey's 36, but the dispatcher had to ask 3 times. Here's the 911 call.
911, where's your emergency?
My emergency is 2568 Tom Drive in Slaughter.
2568 Tom Drive.
Yes, Slaughter. My daughter stopped breathing.
Okay, how old is she?
She's in her 30s.
Okay, what's your name and your name?
My name is Sheila Fletcher. Her name is Lacey Fletcher.
Okay, has she been sick or anything?
Yeah.
With, what?
No, she's not sick like that. It's a
Okay.
long story. She just stopped
Okay.
eating and stuff.
Okay, I'm going to transfer you to Acadian. It's going to think I'm hanging up, but I'm not. Okay. She's completely unresponsive
Unresponsive. My husband.
and not breathing, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Nothing. No attention like this.
Okay, they should answer in just a moment.
Hello? Yes. Yes, 2568 Tom Drive in Slaughter.
Okay, just slow down a little for a minute. You said 2568 Tom.
Tom Drive.
Okay, what's the nearest street that crosses with Tom Drive? It's off of 412 on Holly, off of Holly.
Okay, and what is your name?
Sheila Fletcher.
All right, Miss Sheila, what's going on over there today?
My daughter has stopped breathing. It's a long story. She had stopped eating. She's an adult.
Okay, how
She
old,
wouldn't eat.
how old is she?
She's third one.
Okay. Is there a defibrillator available?
Is what?
Is there a defibrillator available?
No. She stopped. It's no heartbeat. My husband is here with her.
Okay. Well, listen, we're going to go ahead and do some CPR, okay?
She's crying.
Okay, you're both with her right now?
Yes.
Okay, where is she located?
She's on the couch here in the living room.
Okay, we need to try to get her onto the floor or flat on her back.
On the floor. Get on the floor. Pull her, get on the floor. Wait, would you say pull her, get on the floor?
Get her onto the floor, on her back, nothing under her head, okay?
On the back, nothing under her head.
We have an ambulance and waiters and first responders en route as well, okay?
Okay.
I want to do some compressions, okay?
Compression?
Is your husband going to be the one doing some CPR?
She's just trying to breathe in her mouth. Are you ever do CPR? No, we can't. No. Yes. He's right beside you.
Say that again?
He's on speakerphone right beside you. We're trying.
Okay. Well, listen, to put the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the center of the chest, right between the nipples, okay?
We can't get her to the couch. I mean, we can't get her on the floor. We gotta get her on the floor.
Are we doing compressions or on the couch? If we can't get on the floor, then we can do compressions on the couch then. Are we doing compressions now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to need you to count out loud with me, okay? So I can instruct you, okay? I need you to count out loud for me, okay? Sir? I need you to count out loud for me. I need to know what the compressions are.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Count with me, okay?
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25.
That's my count, okay?
What?
1, 2, 3, 4, 1,
5, 6,
4, 1, 2,
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Wait. What are you saying?
I need to go to the speed of the counting I'm going at, okay?
So the speed that she's going at.
Don't go too fast, okay?
What?
What?
I'm gonna count out loud with you, and I just do the compression to the same speed that I'm counting, okay?
They're just getting here. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead, and I want you to count this at the same speed with me, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Come here.
1, 2, 3, 4. Let me know who's there with you. Go to the compressions, okay? I need one of you to do compressions and one of you let whoever's
Get on this.
who is there with you.
Fine. Clear on the floor.
All right, I need you to count with me. 1, 2, 3,
Police,
4.
the police are here.
Compressions. Police is there with you?
Yeah.
Are they taking over the compressions?
Let's show you.
Huh?
This obvious time.
Huh?
Obvious time.
Fine. What?
Good. Simple.
All right, Miss Sheila. Miss Sheila.
Yeah.
Miss Sheila?
Go ahead. No, say it's changed. Y'all can hang up.
Acadian's still on the phone trying to talk to y'all.
Hello?
Yeah, just make sure that the law enforcement is on team with you.
Yeah, this is law enforcement right here on call.
Okay. Y'all taking over compression?
Oh, she's going to be 10-7. A parent.
Okay. All right, well, the ambulance is on the way.
All right.
I'm sure you caught it. Mrs. Fletcher just couldn't seem to remember how old her daughter was. At first, she was just in her 30s, and then she'd be asked 2 more times, and then she settled at 31. Lacey was 36, so 5 years off on your own daughter. I don't know if you caught the devastation of these parents with a dead daughter in front of them. I didn't hear it. We've been given access to photos of what the first responders encountered when they arrived at that house. And I said it before, I'll say it again. The district attorney and the coroner on this case both asked us to show you the photos of Lacey's body so that people could see what really happened to her in the care of those 2 parents, how neglected, how starved, how tortured she was. They want the world to know that Lacey died naked and alone. The raw, unedited photos are just far too gruesome for us to air, but we're going to try to show you what we can. We've had to blur a lot. It's hard to believe that the victim was once this beautiful and active girl. It's also hard to believe how church-going, affluent parents with such a nice house could have allowed this to happen for over a decade. Fair warning, the pictures are coming and they are extremely disturbing. You're going to see how she was dead on the couch, covered up. Out of respect for Lacey, we have blurred her face. But this is how Lacey was found. First responders walked in and saw that she was covered in that green blanket, falling into the hole of that couch. You can see how tiny and emaciated her arms were. She was frail. She weighed just 96 pounds. She had been naked, but it turns out her father had tried to put a small gray shirt on her. Next, you're going to see her body, but again, we've blurred it. Under the blanket, again, naked except for the T-shirt, she was covered in open wounds. Many of the sores had eaten her flesh down to the bone. Feces was smeared all over her face, all over her body. It was matted into her hair. In those mats were maggots and gnats and cockroaches on her body. Her lower end was literally fused to the sofa. I've got a picture of what the couch looked like when Lacey's contorted body was removed. And you can see the pool of waste that girl had been sitting/lying in. When the authorities pulled the couch out from the wall, this is what they found underneath the couch. Those are the floorboards, soaking wet and buckling. It was due to the pooling of waste underneath the sofa where Lacey had been lying. The next picture I'm going to show you is extraordinarily graphic. Be careful, please. It shows the extent of the suffering that this disabled woman endured. Again, the DA and the coroner want this to be public. They want the public to witness what this girl went through. You'll see Lacey on her stomach on the coroner's table before the autopsy. We've blurred out some aspects of it, but the body shows how her body was rotting, literally rotting long before she died from melting into that couch and sitting in her own waste for years. There are open wounds and bed sores, large areas of her flesh simply missing. You can imagine the kind of pain that this 36-year-old woman was in. And let's not forget, she was once a beautiful and vibrant teenager. Lacey Fletcher was a human being who deserved so much better than this. She deserved to be loved, and she deserved to be cared. She deserved to be cared for by her parents at the very least. She deserved to be protected by Sheila and Clay Fletcher at the least. Initially, Sheila and Clay denied everything. They claimed Lacey suffered from a debilitating anxiety and that they tried to feed her, but ultimately surrounded by fellow church members who supported them, they pleaded no contest to a reduced charge of manslaughter. But it does carry with it 40 years at the very top end. And joining me now is someone who fought hard to get the Fletchers put behind bars since the day he processed that crime scene. Dr. Ewell Bickham was the coroner who performed Lacey's autopsy. He is here with me live now. Dr. Bickham, I am so sorry that you have had to endure this. Even in your line of work, I can't imagine there has been anything in your career like this. Take me to the moment that you first walked in on that scene.
Well, I walked in on the scene after Officer Dalton Corbin called me from Slaughter PD as I was dispatched. I arrived within 10 minutes. I arrived before Kate and the ambulance there. When I got there, the officers, the first responders on scene were just in a daze. They were just standing there. They were on the outside. When I walked in, the house smelled of a stench of, it smelled like a sewer, a septic tank, and also a smell of death. I've never smelled that in my life. I've dealt with decomposed bodies. I've dealt with all sorts of death, degradation, whatever. Never experienced this in all of my career.
And what did you witness Clay and Sheila doing as first responders and you were there witnessing this horror?
When I walked through the door, to the right of me in the kitchen, Clay and Sheila Fletcher were standing there. Clay was standing there emotionless. The mom had her head between her knees. I saw a tear or two. To the left was the living room where Lacey was. I immediately went through there. I didn't stop and socialize with the parents. I went in there to where Lacey was. And
I know this has got to be hard for you, even as a coroner, and even given what you have witnessed in your entire career. I read that you
it was tough.
struggled processing this. You struggled for a week afterwards. You cried for a week. You couldn't eat for a week. Is that true?
That's true. It still bothers me today. And like I said, I've seen every kind of death there is. I've seen elderly people die of natural causes. I've seen suicides, homicides. I've seen everything there is. I've never seen a homicide like this. I have never seen an individual, a human being, literally tortured and allowed to die while she is alive. I've never seen that in my life. I've seen decomposed bodies of someone that drowns. You find the body a week later. That's one thing, and they're decomposed. Lacey did not decompose. She rotted in her own body in that hole, in that sewer, in the couch.
What do we not see, Dr. Bickham, from the photos? Looking at the couch, looking at her falling into that couch, literally, it's hard to describe, but I will tell the viewers that under that blanket, she was cross-legged and she'd fallen over to her left, but she was cross-legged in that sewage hole. What do we not see? Because from the outside, the house looks beautifully appointed. The lawn is well cared for. The house is well cared for. It's diabolical that this is the scene inside.
It is. There were insect droppings, rodent, mouse droppings all over on the mantle near the fireplace. But talking about her legs being crossed, basically because of her condition, and this has been years, her legs were crossed because they were in contractures, what we call contractures. The muscles, tendons, bones just become so immobile from not being moved that they just stiffen and they stay that way. And she was like that in that position because she was in so much pain that she was trying to lift her body out of that hole. because it hurt, it stung, it was horrible. She didn't have the energy to lift her body out of that hole.
Was there food or water within reach? Was there anything that you could see that sustained this woman? As the parents said, they'd been away for the weekend.
The only thing I saw was a small bag of hard candy, some type of like butterscotch or just candy, peppermint type candy. And that was it. That's the only nourishment she probably had, because I'll just not try to be too graphic, but in her stomach, she had the yellow foam from the sofa and feces. So you take it from there.
She'd literally been pulling at the foam of the sofa and eating it.
Correct.
Dr. Bickham, I have to take a break. I want to ask you after the break about your effort as a coroner to ensure that these parents were held to the highest accounting of responsibility that you could, and how you and the DA worked together, and where we stand right now. I have a couple of questions for you. I've never heard of a coroner who's had this much of an effect on this case and has had this much of an effect on him or her. After the break, if it's okay with you, I'm going to ask you to hold on for a moment. Some questions about what these parents were doing and where they were living. Where were they spending their time? As Lacey was literally rotting to death in their home, where were they sleeping? That's next. You should know that at least one of the charges involves victims under the age of 12. So that's not an accident or a mistake. I didn't know how old she was. So he's also facing, court action at the state level too. Aggravated child rape and aggravated sexual battery of a child. And that carries life no parole. I want to get Jeff Keeling in here. He is with our affiliate WJHL News, Channel 11 in Eastern Tennessee, and he was in that federal courtroom today, and he saw Sean Williams face-to-face. Jeff, it's good to have you on the show. Thanks for doing this. We don't get cameras in federal courtrooms. It irks me beyond much else, but you got a chance to see everything. Can you take me there and tell me what happened, what you saw?
Sure. Thanks, Ashley. Yes, he walked in under his own power, did not look terribly worse for the wear from his effort the other day. He had a bandage on his neck, and other than that, looked pretty much like the normal Sean.
Ah, the bandage on his neck. Thank you. It was a detail I did not know about, because we were told he had to be rushed to the hospital for a suicide attempt. Should we presume the bandage was the suicide attempt? And if so, how bad was it? How big was it? Did it look real, or did it look like a phony attempt to get a trip to an easy-to-escape hospital?
Can't really make that judgment. The marshal said that he was that they were lucky that they saw him as quickly as they did. So, I'm not going to make a call on that one, but he certainly looked like he was feeling all right today.
Yeah, this is the picture we got when he was arrested several weeks ago after being out on the run 34 days, I think it was, and the canine had to ferret him out from, I think, underneath a car near a 7-Eleven where he was spotted. So he's having some trouble keeping a defense attorney. I think he's now, at a count of about 3?
That's right. He kept his first one for about a month. I think it was his choice on that one. And then the gentleman today, that was what he was supposed to be there for on October 18th, was the motion by his attorney to withdraw from his case. That finally got heard today. Took all of about 2 minutes of the judge in the courtroom with the attorney and us coming back in, and she granted that request. So now he's got number 3.
I'm sort of squinting at the mugshot there that's between us, trying to find the Band-Aid, but I think the mugshot was taken maybe right before the so-called suicide attempt, so it's not, I would not be able to see the position of it where you saw it in this particular picture, would I?
No, that's right. He got booked in, and within a couple of hours, apparently, he made this attempt. I figured that was it for Thursday's hearing, but he made a rapid recovery. So they were able to get him there patched up, and he spoke to the judge and got his new attorney, and you're right, he's got a whole lot in front of him.
Oh, I mean, it's too much to list, but they're foul charges, just despicable, despicable stuff. So can you tell me about the level of security? When we were covering Caitlin Armstrong in Texas, we noticed there were like 5 or 6 extra deputies that surrounded her in the courtroom, which I thought was, you know, almost vaudeville, because, I mean, escaping from a courtroom's hard. It's been done, but it's hard. What about this guy? You know, 3 escape attempts. He's clearly clever enough to be out on the run 34 days and get out of a prison van with 2 guards in it, a transit van, small transit van. What did the security look like for this visit to the federal courthouse today?
Well, they are no longer using the contracted jails to take him now to the courthouse. The marshals are doing that themselves. And we saw 2 SUVs with a sedan in the middle of them pull up and into the Sally Port today when they brought him there. So the marshal has told us, we're handling all transport now. There were lots of marshals in the courthouse, and you know, he clearly has a motive to want to get back out, because we did some math yesterday, and you're right, it's a lot of charges, and just on the sex charges he is facing right now, if they were all served consecutively, he's found guilty on all of them, he's looking at 890 years, plus, as you said, that life without parole for the one. That's a lot of time.
I mean, give or take, right? 890 years life with life without parole, give or take. Jeff Keeling, thank you. I mean, I love it when I can get a firsthand account like this of what happens in a courtroom when the federal courts won't let us see that transparency for ourselves. So will you come back again on the show?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. Jeff Keeling. Joining me now live is Rachel Sun. She's a reporter for Northwest Public Broadcasting and the Lewiston Tribune, and she's live in Moscow, Idaho as well. Rachel, thanks for being with me. I'm sure you were probably listening along as we had a conversation with the coroner. What really stood out to me was that she believes that these victims might have been sleeping, or at least one of them might have been sleeping. Is that something that you've been hearing as well?
That's certainly one of the ideas that's been floating around. There's a lot of speculation on this case. I think that, you know, the fact that police haven't released a lot of information has been one of the driving factors, definitely of a lot of frustration among the community, but we just don't know right now.
These 2 other roommates that were in the house, you know, originally there was a much ado made about the fact that they took hours and hours, like 9 hours before calling 911, but that would stand to reason if someone comes home late, goes to bed on a Saturday night after whatever you do in college on a Saturday night, you might sleep in until early afternoon and then wake up to, you know, a horror scene. What's more interesting is that the 911 report says that the call came in as an unconscious person. Is there any more clarity as to that? Because the scene that we are hearing about is not an unconscious person. It's a hellscape.
Yeah, that is a point of confusion. I specifically asked the police chief about that at yesterday's press conference, and he could not provide more clarity. He said that's how the call came in. So no more information on that, unfortunately.